Hi, I'm John Burke.
And I'm Alan Sufford.
And we are Burke Company.
And it's the Monday Market Minute.
It is. And this week we're going to tackle a slightly different question. There's been a lot in the press recently about automation and the role of artificial intelligence and robots replacing the workforce. And even last week, an entrepreneur from China claimed that in the next 10 years, he expects half of all jobs to be eliminated by artificial intelligence and robots. The Washington Post ran an article just this morning, which is kind of what got us on the topic, where they said, even millennials entering a lot of the fields that they are going into might be facing automation, eliminating their jobs.
And we were just having a round table with our friends Mike Mento and Jack about careers in general. We understand it's a scary thing for a lot of people.
A lot of people losing sleep on this question. I fall into that category sometimes. So what do you think, Alex? Do you think realtors are going to get replaced by robots?
No. I see a trend happening with the Zillow Trulia thing. A lot of the analytics side of what realtors used to do is happening on the internet, is available to consumers. But the one thing that people can't replace is the human experience. So when people are going to buy or sell a house, the one thing that separates is a human that can really guide you through the process and kind of act as that person getting you from point A to point B the smoothest way possible.
Yeah, and I could even make it a little bit personal right now. I have a lot of experience, obviously, in real estate at this point, and yet, buying my own home, which I'm on the verge of doing right now, it's a very different experience. There can be a lot of fear involved, a lot of worry involved, and I can understand, too, where people who aren't familiar with the process, haven't done it before, haven't done it down here before, haven't done it in the area before, how having somebody there who feels like your advocate, like your agent, and somebody you can trust is really valuable. And I don't think... I do want to say this. I think there's a lot of almost smugness sometimes from people in certain sectors, white-collar sectors, thinking that it's only the blue-collar jobs that are going to get eliminated. It's the taxi drivers and the cab drivers and the truck drivers and the bricklayers. And I think it's ironic that they think computers are going to replace that when computers all along, the one thing that they've definitely done better than humans at a certain point is computing things, figuring things out. So, there might be other areas, financial analyst and all sorts of analytical things where computers might be really, really good at them, better than we're going to be. But bringing somebody through the process, like you just talked about, and making them comfortable in that process. And also, the really great thing about being a real estate agent as opposed to, somebody who's selling something else, cars, is we generally are working for our side of the process. We're either working with the buyer or we're working with the seller, and we're looking out for them. We're not trying to sell them something in the way like, say, a car dealer does. So bringing that level of trust and that level of being taken care of into the process, I don't think, like you just said, that anyone's going to move to eliminate that anytime soon. So I guess we cross our fingers on it, right?
And there's another thing here too, especially down here at the Jersey Shore with Cape and Atlantic County. There's such niche markets, and kind of the economy is so different from the rest of the country that a macroeconomic sort of analytic program couldn't run the nuances.
And I agree with you. My concern on that is I do think that eventually the thinking aspect of, the artificial intelligence aspect of technology might begin to get there, where it can pick out sort of nuances that right now only a human can see. I think in most cases it will eventually get to the point where it can see some of those nuances. So even in those spots, we might be replaced to some extent. But also, maybe we should wrap up on this. I've always been a big chess player. And it has been mostly through the course of my life where the best players in the world used to be able to beat the best computers. And then, towards the end of the 90s, Garry Kasparov, best player in the world, was beaten by Deep Blue, Big Blue, IBM's Big Blue, beat Kasparov. Now today, there are programs you can run on a desktop that will pretty much beat all the players in the world. And at the same time, though, I didn't know this until recently, and kind of looking into it, when you match a computer versus a human, the computer's going to win. When you match a computer versus a human with a computer, the human with the computer generally wins. So when you take the computational force and you apply to it the certain intuition or instincts that we have in situations. So I've also heard, and maybe this is the optimism, that perhaps we really just can't imagine what the new economy looks like. And instead of these things replacing us, they just change how we do our jobs, sort of linked into them. And that's when we bring a lot of information. The information will all be there. We're already getting there with a way of interpreting and understanding that information that might only come with, a human being in a certain amount of experience. So I hope we don't lose our jobs. I like what I do. I love what I do.
So if you guys feel the same way, leave a comment in the section below.
Tell us what you think's going to happen to your job. What are you in?
Or our job.
Yeah, and thanks for tuning in again. This was the Monday Market Minute. I'm John Burke.
I'm Alex Hufford.
We are Burke Company, and we'll see you next week.